The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hello, welcome to Love Your Body, Love Your Life TV show. My name is Jenna. I'm the author of the book titled Love Your Body, Love Your Life. You can find my book on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. And today, the title of our show is How to Love Thyself in 2022. And all week, I've been thinking about how I was going to introduce the show. And what came to me really strong is, at least for me, and what I've been experiencing is I feel like we all know it's different now. We feel the difference. And I think the biggest change right now is how to manage your energy in 2022 and moving forward. We have a special guest on today. Her name is PATTIE Papa. We're going to be talking all about that and manifestation and how she has come to be a medicine woman, her journey on self-love, and so much more. So without further ado, PATTIE Papa, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thank you so much, Jenna, for having me on.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome to meet you.
Yes, finally, right? We've been kind of going back and forth, but there hasn't really been
Yes.
this like personal, like where I see your face and we're talking at the same time. It's so cool.
Yeah, very cool. Where are you located, PATTIE? I didn't even ask
Yeah,
that.
well, okay, so we've kind of been dancing around, but right now we're settled in Austin, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah, it's I really didn't expect to love it as much as I do. We kind of moved here for our family, and it's just a really beautiful place to raise a family.
Mm.
And my husband and I have 3 kids, just as like a frame of reference. So, yeah, we kind of decided that this would be the best move. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll probably like it, but I absolutely love it. It's so
Mm.
beautiful here. Yeah.
That's awesome. I've been to Austin one time.
Mhm.
Is it the Riverwalk? Is that in
There is a thing, yes, there
Austin?
is a thing. I mean, I'm still new here. We've only been
Yeah.
here for 6 months, and
Okay.
it's like
Oh.
I'm still learning, like, the names of the roads and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think there is a river walk because there's downtown Austin has a river that runs through it. So there probably is something called River Walk, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I was actually dated, well, my first husband, to be honest, was in Dallas for a little bit. And
Oh,
so he
nice. Okay.
flying me back from Orange County to Dallas, and then one point went to Austin. So that's how I
Yeah.
know Austin. So,
Yeah, Austin's like 3 hours from Dallas, I think, like 3.5.
okay,
So, yeah,
yeah,
close in relation to like the States, but as far as and kind of Texas because it's huge.
yeah. Yes, very huge, huge.
Yes.
So let's dive into it, PATTIE. I mean, I think what I said when I introduced the show, I don't know, that's what I'm feeling, that we really have to manage our energy these days.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And for me, it's more about self-care, right? Managing your energy, but in what works best for you personally. So it's not a one size fits all thing, right? It's
Mhm.
really about tuning in to what do I need? What do I need to be happy? What do I need to be whole? What do I need to feel free and embodied? And then doing whatever that thing is that makes you feel that way. So for some people, managing their energy is like going and getting Reiki and doing breath work and yoga. And for some people, it's reading a nice book and painting and drawing or knitting or whatever. So I really feel like that was spot on when you said that. I was like, Managing your energy. Oh, and not overdoing it and really paying attention to like, where's my mind going in this moment? Really trying to focus and be present so you can know, what do I need?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what does that look like for you these days?
Oh, it's funny because it's shifted dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
I was always the type of woman that I just did everything.
Mm-hmm.
And a teacher of mine, a dear sister, said, listen, baby, you cannot do it all and maintain your sanity. And it's okay to delegate. And I was like, what does that even mean? How do
Yeah.
I even delegate? And so once she kind of opened that door for me, it's been this really beautiful coming together of my own personal self-growth and figuring out, okay, what is appropriate for me to delegate at this time? What am I willing to let go of? Because I found that a lot of the things I was doing, I wasn't really willing to let go of in that moment. So I had to kind of get to a space where it was undeniable that I had to make a shift. I had to make a change. And yeah, recently I've been doing a lot of shadow work in these last couple of months. And yeah, the message was do more, but with more intention. So make sure that for me, I guess I'm only speaking for myself here, is that you can do as much as you can do. And be gentle with yourself when you get to a space where you're like, oh, yesterday I could do all these things and be okay, but today, why am I feeling this way? So it's a day by day thing for me. Every day is different. So one of the things that I do in the morning is when I wake up in the morning, I get up, I make my coffee, and then I sit and I have what I call my little ceremony. And I light some candles and I just sit and I'm quiet. And I get up before the sun rises. And so it's like I sit in the dark with candle lit, and then the sun kind of starts to come up and it slowly gets light in the space. And I'll sit there and do whatever. I might journal. I might draw some tarot cards or whatever. But usually it's a focused time for me to get quiet so I can listen to what my heart really needs in that day.
I mean, a couple things came up just listening to you talk. I totally agree. I've been on this meditation kick. I get every morning 4 months now.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest challenge is because I get the whole day-to-day thing where, you're just in the moment. What do you need? What is your body asking? Like getting out of my head and into my body and listening to my body versus my head,
Yep.
How do you manage like people coming in, like perhaps a family member or a friend? And sometimes it's like maybe you don't want to be around the energy, or how do you handle like, knowing that every day is different and you want to go with your gut every day? How do you handle like somebody saying, I want to see you on this day? Do you?
I will still go do that and do things like that. But I know that if I'm in a space where, like right now, I've been feeling like kind of hermit mode where I just kind of want to stay home. It's kind of cold today. So it's like, oh, I just want to sit and like snuggle and be like with some coffee or tea and just sit and relax. And so today would not be the best day for me to ask or for someone to ask me to like do something, but I still will do that and just prepare myself, ahead of time. Like, okay, I know I'm feeling a little bit more introverted and stuff. So what can I do that's going to nurture that aspect so I'll be ready for that? And I always give myself a couple days. Like I can be like, oh, hey, what are you doing right now? Like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, come over. And a lot of times I'll be good with that. as long as I don't have something going on. But there are times I just say no. Say no. I'm not or I'm not going to be available till next week. You know, I just make sure that I give myself that space that I know that I'm going to need.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that, Patty, because I think, mainly we're talking to women here, and
Mhm.
that's something that we, for some reason, as women,
Yep.
have such a hard time saying no.
Mhm.
And I know for me, like I've had to overcome people pleasing a
Yep.
lot,
Mhm.
and actually, being controlled. You
Yep.
know, recently I was in Hawaii, and I was actually quarantined for. It's a story, but
Yeah.
basically, my negative COVID test couldn't be uploaded onto their website in Hawaii. So they
No.
quarantined me for 10 days, the
Oh,
duration of the trip. And so I was with my family, and I was like, OMG, like, just send me home.
yeah.
Anyways, long story short, I ended up staying and was quarantined for 5 days. Then I got the courage up to call the manager, and I got out of quarantine. But
Nice.
still, I wasn't able to, like, participate in a lot of my family outings because it was outside of the resort.
Uh-huh.
And so it was an interesting, vacation, something that I wasn't planning on doing, but I was pretty much quarantined for 10 days,
Mm.
alone time, a lot of alone time.
Yeah.
And what I realized was that a lot of, realizations come to you, right, in those moments of
Mhm.
solitude,
Yeah.
and the
Stillness.
the stillness and just the Hawaii energy, and just,
Mhm.
it was just like, wow. And so, I had a big, like, I wanna call it an aha moment, but it's bigger than that. It's kinda
Yeah.
like, I think aha moments are like 2019 or something,
Yeah, well, they're epiphanies, right? Now we're getting into the aha moments that are embodied, where it's you're
Exactly.
not just like it's not a thing of the mind. It's a thing of the physical body where your body's like, "Yes, I understand that now."
Yes.
I'm really getting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, I had that feeling, and what came to me strong was that, my whole life I've kind of been controlled. I've
Mhm.
been controlled by, family members, by husbands, by my mind,
Mhm.
my own thoughts,
Yep.
and the virus
Mhm.
that's going around.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I just kinda had this freedom come over me, like, I'm gonna do what makes me happy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna post what I wanna post. Like,
Yep.
it sounds really ridiculous, and, like,
Right? But it's like, why do we have to get to a space where we have to allow ourselves to live a happy life?
mhm,
Why do we have to do that? Well, part of it is because we're programmed. We're programmed from day one. Our parents tell us who we are. Our parents tell
mhm,
us the things that, when we're kids, it's natural to explore other options, explore like, oh, this person does that. I'm going to start doing that and see if I like that, see if it fits, that's just a natural part of how children are. And then the,
mhm,
the parents will say, oh, that's what your friend does. You don't do that. That's not you. And then we go, oh, maybe that's not me. So,
mhm.
and they don't parents don't mean to do that, right? But it's just a natural thing that they're thinking they're helping, but really they're kind of telling you who you are.
Mhm,
So, I think that's some of what that is, right? But
mhm.
yeah, that's beautiful. Like we all deserve to be happy. Like
Yeah.
that's for me, that's the purpose of life, to be happy and free and to love, you know?
Yes, yes. So, on that note, Patty, I wanna dive into, like, how you came to this, like, was it a transformation that you decided, this is who I am now, I'm a medicine woman, and define that for the people, and talk about that.
Yeah, it's funny because, when I saw the post and you're like, "I'm having a medicine woman on my show," and I thought, "Ooh, that's kinda limiting," right? Like, in such a good way too, like, um, so I'm actually kind of feeling like maybe I'm kinda coming out of needing that as a label, which is really beautiful.
Mm,
But, you know, for conversation's sake, I've always kind of been like weird, I guess, if you want to call it weird. And I've always felt spirit energy, and I've always kind of had this intuitive knowing. And my husband and I met. I was 19 when we started dating. I'm 36 now.
Wow.
And so he kind of started going through a spiritual awakening. And I've always been into like really indigenous cultures. Like he would come home from work and he would see me and I'd be watching like people in Africa, like how they live and like watching their ceremonial dances and like, those like Nat Geo shows.
Mhm.
Um, and he'd be like, "What are you watching?" So I've kind of always been like really just fascinated by indigenous people and how they live.
Mhm.
And my husband, his name is Victor, and I keep saying my husband, but Victor, he has a YouTube channel, and he kind of started on this path of like an influencer, and he got invited to go to a retreat center in Costa Rica, a plant medicine retreat center, and when he went, this woman the one I already shared about her, the one who said, who told me like, you can't do it all and it's okay to delegate.
Mhm.
She was working at this retreat center, and so they met, and she had a ceremony in Vegas where we were living at the time. We had just moved there, and that was the opening of this path, was drinking plant medicine. And it just kind of opened this door for self-healing, and it felt very familiar to me. Like I've been here before. Like I know this medicine. I know this energy. And so I just started exploring that. I started reading books and listening to audiobooks. And I mean, I would go to the gym and I would sit and read books about plant medicine while I'm in between sets or while I'm on the Stairmaster or whatever I'm doing. And people would always be like, "Oh, you're always reading." I'm like, "Yeah," because it was something that was feeding my soul in a very real different way.
Mhm.
And Victor said, "You should probably like look into this more." He's like, "I've never seen you read like this." He's like, "It's very obvious that you're passionate about this." And he's right. I never was a big reader. Um, I would read sometimes, but it was not all the time like it turned into.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was a few years of a process of me doing this inner work and figuring out like, who am I now? Redefining who I am, because for so long, because at this point we had 3 kids. This was in 2017. So I was a wife and a mom, and that was my label that I had put on myself. And now I'm figuring out, okay, who am I now?
Mhm.
And so Victor would say like, "Oh, my wife is into shamanism." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not a shaman. I'm not a shaman. I don't plan on being a shaman. It's not, I'm interested in shamanism. Yes." But he would say, "Oh, she's on this path of shamanism." And I'm like, don't keep telling people that, because that's not even like, I don't even like that. That's not even true, really. And so I finally came to this point. I did this retreat with her name is Heather Ashamara. She's an author, and she wrote this book, Warrior Goddess Training, which was really pivotal on my path. Um, and I did one of her retreats, and we did a fire walk where you walk on fire.
Yes.
And it was that retreat that made me say, "Oh yeah, yep, I'm a medicine woman now." But now I've done all this growth, and now I'm like, okay, maybe it's like, maybe I don't need that label anymore. So
Okay.
we'll see where I go with that now.
I
Who
mean,
am I? I'm me.
yeah, I didn't mean to like put you in a box.
No, no,
Like,
no, 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 no. Oh no, I
yeah.
wasn't offended or anything. So I don't want you
Okay.
to feel that way. No, I wasn't offended. I was like, oh wow, like big shoes to fill for one, having that type of a label, right? And also like, whoa, we're so much more than what we label ourselves with, right? Like
Absolutely.
part of what is a medicine woman? Because I get asked that a lot, right? For
Mhm.
me, a medicine woman is just someone who works with plants. So an herbalist can be a medicine woman, someone who's an Ayurveda person, they can be a medicine person because they're using the plants as medicine. So whether it's to open your consciousness, to heal your body,
Mhm.
it's medicine.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
What is your favorite plant to work with, Patty? Do you have one?
All of them?
All of them?
Yeah. Right now, I'm working with Rose
Okay.
a lot. Yeah. I'm working with her a lot. So I'd have to say currently right now, she's probably my favorite. And my least favorite because she is so beautiful and she's also super shadowy.
Mm.
She's just this really beautiful energy of loving yourself in such a whole way that you get to love your shadow side too. So sometimes that doesn't look so pretty, you know? So, but yeah, I'd say she's probably my favorite right now currently, but that's going to change for sure. Well, maybe not.
So, when you work with the plant, so like if somebody came on, listen to this show, like, and they wanted to
Mhm.
work with Rose, what exactly does that like? What does that process look like?
It depends. It really depends. So, if you're working with a plant in a traditional setting, right, you're going to do what's called a dieta, which just means diet. And you'll go and you'll be in isolation and you just work with your plant and you eat very, very clean foods. You're really restricting all the things that you're doing because you're literally in isolation. And that you would go to like to the jungle for. But there's so many ways to work with the plants, right? And the plants like rose and lavender and sage, those ones are very easy to find, and you can literally work with them in whatever way feels resonant for you. So, typically, I suggest drinking tea. But with rose, I've been taking these flower essence tinctures, and they are so beautiful. You just put like a few drops on your tongue, and you can just feel her just love. It's so beautiful. Yeah. So, I mean, with rose, it's really easy. Oils, tea, anything that goes on your body, in your bath, you can, yeah, there's so many ways. And it's really just you get quiet and you either drink your tea, but it's really about being present with your heart space so you can be open and clear to whatever messages that they are giving you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like rose tea
Mhm.
or rose petals in your
Yes.
bath
Yep.
or
Rose petals in the bath. I have dried rose petals that I
oh,
or rose like roses that I've dried and just kept in this thing. And that stays on my altar. And I'll probably switch them out cuz now they're starting to get really crunchy, but yeah, I always like anything dried or even fresh roses. I've got always fresh roses in the house. So, yeah. Yeah.
okay. And I love how like congratulations with your marriage,
Oh,
really,
thank you.
truly, because 19 to 36, you said?
Yep.
That's a lot of years, and, I've been married twice and divorced twice. So, this last marriage for me, that was a big heartbreak, like, I didn't see that coming. It was
Mhm.
just I thought it was till death do us part. Uh,
Right.
but a lot of I went through a lot of my own personal transformation within that
Mhm.
marriage.
Mhm.
And so that's why, like, I commend you too, because it's not easy.
No, it
Like,
is not easy.
it is not, and so I don't know, touch on that a little bit, Patty, if you are open to doing that.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure. No,
how do you yeah, because I remember for me, when I was going through my own transformation in my marriage, I didn't even understand what I was going
right.
through.
Yeah.
So how do you communicate that with your partner, you know?
It's something that I'm still learning because now I'm in a space where I know myself better and
Mhm.
I can clearly communicate. Like, even if I don't really know what's going on within myself, I can clearly communicate, like, hey, I don't really know what's happening. I'm feeling this type of way, but if you don't get out of my face right now, then we're going to have a problem and this is going to be a bigger thing than it needs to be until you give me space to digest this.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things, is really just honoring your partner's path and what they're going through, because whenever you level up, if your partner doesn't level up, then there's, you're not going to be even. So if you're okay, let me do this. If you're doing all the growth and your
Mhm.
partner's still down here, there's going to have to be a separation, because or you're going to have to go back down,
Mhm.
and nobody wants to do that, you know? So every relationship, every partnership, friendships are included in that. You're always learning something, even if they aren't forever. There's always something to be learned and some growth that happens after. And they're always perfect and important. And with Victor and I, it's not been an easy process. And we really have had to have clear communication about what we're going through. And the I'm so incredibly blessed because he's so supportive, and we are always just doing our best in every moment. So even if he's going through a process and I'm not really understanding, I can say, okay, I don't understand what you're going through, but I can support you if you need it, and we can say that. And that's kind of how it's always worked. And we just seem to naturally level up together. So when he knows that when I'm doing all the shadow work and I'm doing all this growth and inner work, which I have been, he knows, okay, I'm next and I need to level up, because,
Okay. Yeah.
so he's also open to that as well. So it's never one-sided. It's always both.
Yes.
And that's also too, understanding that, like, when we're having a disagreement, he doesn't like to disagree, or he doesn't like to agree to disagree, but he's okay with that. I will not agree to disagree. One of us has to figure out, like, okay, how do we get on the same page so you can understand what I'm feeling or what I'm seeing? And so, because I'm very like, no, we need to figure this out.
Mhm.
And it takes some time sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, it can be a little bit more fiery than it needs to be.
A little bit more intense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. For sure. But yeah, somehow we make it work. Yeah.
I would be the same way. I'm more like, let's get to the deeper thing here and figure it out.
Mhm.
Like, I'm all about the to go deeper into what really is going on, you know?
Yes.
It's not
Right.
about
Go to the core of the real reason, instead of
yeah.
just, we're peeling the outside layers. Yes. Okay. Yes. You said this thing that made me feel this way. And yes, you did this and I felt like this, or I said this and you felt like this. But it's like, there's always something deeper. There's
Yeah.
always something that's like, oh, I know where that came from.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just learning about ourselves too, learning about our own personal boundaries,
Mhm.
because a lot of times in relationships, and because we've been together so long, we've had to do this sort of a separation of the codependency, because we started off in a very kind of codependent relationship. And so we had to undo all that toxicity and dysfunction from being together all the time. And so I ended up going and doing a dieta with a teacher of mine, and the plant that I was dieting at that time was she was basically telling me, you have to speak your truth. You have to speak your truth,
Mhm.
even if it's hard, especially if it's hard. And I realized that I wasn't speaking my truth all the time. I would brush things off. I would see he would say something or do something and I'd be like, I don't like that, but whatever. And I would just kind of like brush it under the rug. But I had to start saying, that's not acceptable anymore. Like I love you and I love me now more than I ever have. And you're going to upgrade and treat me the way that I need to be treated. And of course, like we're both in that same level of like, oh yeah, good for you. Like you love yourself enough to like stand up to my crap. Okay, perfect.
My harshness or whatever.
Yes.
You know, I commend you honestly, Patty, because you're like you're preaching to the choir right now. Like that was like my relationship, you know, really where I grew up. I grew up and I was like, you know what? I deserve better. And for me, what I realized in my inner growth, if you want to call it, was I was actually in the masculine energy of the relationship when it first began. It was in the feminine. And so then I started growing. I did a lot of inner child work. And so I started to heal my inner child. And then it just kind of hit me like, oh, wait a second. I am the female. Like I am the female in the relationship. And I've been, just like you said, doing it all. I mean, all of it. And no wonder why I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
You know?
Right? I need a nap every day. Why?
Yes, exactly. An hour nap. I need one.
Yeah.
But I think it's just awesome, you know, for the both of you, because obviously he's an awesome partner,
Yeah.
you know, to be able to recognize and respect, you know, the growth and the change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really blessed.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And I do believe too, it's like when you get to a space and you're in a partnership when you know that's not working, that is the hardest thing to admit to yourself. That takes so much strength to say, I love you, but I love me more. And I'm not going to do this anymore. And I'm gonna walk away from this because this isn't working. And that takes so much strength and so much courage. And I commend you for that because that's not easy. Not
Girl,
easy.
girl, oh, we could talk. Like
Yes.
it's honestly like, yeah. Anyways, a
Yeah.
whole
Well,
other conversation.
yes, but it's life-changing and it's a really beautiful aspect, even though it's the most challenging things that we do in life are the most rewarding.
Yeah.
Really. Even if it doesn't seem that way. Even if it doesn't feel that way. It really is.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I mean, it seems like there's a wall, but it really is part of the plan. And I
Yep.
believe that,
Yeah.
you know, and I do believe that it's all laid out for us. It really
Oh,
is,
yeah.
you know, we
Oh,
just have
yeah.
to show up, you know?
Yep.
But I want to switch gears because I really want to get into, you know, speaking of women, I really want to get into this eating disorder conversation and body image and all, you know, I want to touch on that. I don't even know where to start really. Um, I know for me, I've dealt with that body image dysmorphia, I think it's
Yeah.
called.
Body
Since
dysmorphia.
body dysmorphia since I hit puberty.
I think most women, if they're being completely honest, I'd say it's probably close to 99% of women experience some sort of body image issues. Maybe not all to the extreme of body dysmorphia, right? But to the point where they're not fully loving and accepting their body as it is. And yeah, I mean, I was bulimic in high school. And when I met Victor, I was in a space where I was doing it because I felt like I had to still. And I had been doing it for 2.5 years at that point, and I was looking for a way out. And I just shared with him, like, I'm bulimic. And he was like, what the F? Like, you got to stop that now. Like, that's not okay. And I was like, wow, he's like legit mad. Like, he's upset about this. I didn't have any idea really what I was doing to myself. And so I stopped, but I didn't really do any healing. And when I was 30, I relapsed. And it was on my 35th birthday that I finally, Victor found out. I had been keeping it from him. It was a very slow progression, right? Like I was dancing on the slippery slope of like every once in a while I would go and whatever and make some sort of BS excuse as to why I needed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end, I got to a point where my body was literally telling me, and all my spirit guides and my angels, they were like, you're going to die. You're going to die like this. And I had a ceremony and I drank ayahuasca, and which is a psychedelic medicine. It's indigenous medicine. And I looked at my hand, and my hand looked like it was 100-year-old hand.
Mm.
And I just knew that my body was old because of what I was doing to it.
Mm-hmm.
And after that ceremony, I was like, okay, I'm never doing that again. I'm done. And I'm like, telling myself all these things that were not lies, but I just wasn't being proactive about it.
Mm-hmm.
And on my 35th birthday, Victor found out. And that whole year of 35 was me dedicating myself to healing that, everything that caused that. Okay. Which for me, I found out it was some sexual trauma that I had experienced. And it was extremely challenging for me to start to talk about the fact that, like, oh yeah, because I had been lying. Victor and I have a podcast, and I had been lying because Victor didn't know. So I'm telling everyone, oh, I stopped being bulimic and da da da. And I had to like swallow that pill of, hey, you're a liar. You're a fraud. You aren't really being authentic. And that's not okay. So looking back, okay, I can see like what my triggers were and all that. But really now I'm in a space where so my teacher that I spoke about a couple of times, she was also bulimic. And as I'm like talking to her, telling her, like, finally I told her that I had relapsed and it was like a thing. And she said, I just got to a point where I didn't want to do that to myself anymore. Sorry. And I looked at her and I just said, I don't know if I'll ever get to that space. And I was dead serious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really didn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to a retreat, and we had a retreat in Costa Rica. And when I was there, I had eaten something that just did not feel good in my body at all. And I had the thought of like, well, you could just go throw up, and that would make you feel better. And I started crying, and I was like, I can't do that to my body anymore. And then I started crying because I was like, oh my God, I actually can't do that to my body anymore.
Yeah.
Because I love her too much. I started listening to her. I started talking to her. I started being gentle with her. And if I'm starting to look a little fluffy, I call it, like I look a little fluffy, because that sounds sweeter than fat, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking a little fluffy right now. And I can say like, okay, that's okay. That's okay. And if I want to change that, I can. But I don't have to feel happy and whole and free.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really the big catalyst for getting to that space was doing the inner child work, doing the shadow work, and going to the really the depths of my hell in my soul, and
Mm.
just getting in there and getting ugly and getting raw and just being in that space and saying, yeah, that's okay too. It's okay to be ugly and raw. And I love that side of me too. I'll share a little story, and this is something that I've been learning from Rose. And
Please.
so everybody knows Rose is this beautiful flower, and she has these thorns. And the thorns are made to protect her. They were made by design to protect her from being trampled on, to protect her from being eaten. And so she's pretty much obsessed with her thorns, and she loves them and she nurtures them, and she will shows them off like energetically, like, yeah, look at my thorns. You don't like them, do you? I do, because I need them. Everything needs that balance. So you have to have that really dark space so you can understand the really light space as well. And getting to that space where I'm looking at my physical vessel as what is holding my spirit, and not this thing that's beautiful to look at anymore. And that takes some time, man.
Again, talking to the your, what do you call it? You're
Preaching
speaking
to the choir.
the choir. My mentor used to tell me over and over and over again, Patty, because it just, I don't know what it is when you have this body stuff. It's like this mental, it's almost like a friend.
Yes.
It's
It's
almost
another entity inside your
like,
brain that's
yeah,
talking to you, telling you
and
what to do.
exactly, and it's like a comforting friend. It
Yeah.
sounds
Yes.
backwards,
Yes.
but it's this friend that I'm not letting her go
Yep.
because she's so familiar to me.
Yes.
And it's like, how can you let that chat go? Because
Yeah.
that's the only chat I know. It's
Yes.
such a mind F, It's
Yes.
like, and so my mentor used to tell me, you're more than a body. You're
Yeah.
more than a body. You're more
Mhm.
than a body. And I'm with you right there. Like, honestly, I will probably deal with this for the rest of my life. And I know for me that it's generational.
Mhm.
Um, it's a family thing. It goes deeper than just me.
Yep, same.
So it'll be there. And it's
Yeah.
just something that I have to accept. It's part
Mhm.
of who I am.
Mhm.
Now I know the difference, all that stuff.
Yeah, and also too, it's like you can hear them. You can hear the thoughts in your mind, right? And you know that they're there. And so what I've been doing when they come in, sometimes I don't check it right away. I don't always check it at the door, and it comes in and I let it get squeaky in there. And it's gets squirrely in my mind sometimes. But if I'm present and it comes in, I can say, "Oh, hey. Hey, old friend. I see you. I love you. But
Mhm.
we're not going down that road today." You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Just for today.
Mhm. Just for today. Yeah.
I feel like I can talk to you for hours.
Yes.
Roxy just put in the chat, there's 5 minutes left.
Oh,
So
wow. You
I know.
did say it would go by fast.
So
You're so
fast.
right. Yeah.
Like, so fast. I know you do women's retreats, Patty.
Yep.
We didn't even touch on that, but I want people to be able to find you and connect with you. Go on your next retreat. Do you have anything coming up quickly?
Yeah. Okay. So I do women's retreats. I'm feeling like I'm gonna do a women's retreat here in Austin.
Oh,
I'm not exactly sure when. But yeah, anything that I'm doing, I post it on my Instagram. And we do have a co-ed retreat that Victor and I are going to be doing in Sedona, Arizona.
ooh.
And that's going to be in June. We haven't launched it yet. And so I'm not 100% on the dates. I think it's like the 20 something, like around that time. I think it's the weekend after Father's Day or the weekend before. I'm not exactly sure which one.
Okay.
But yeah, whenever we launch anything, it goes on my Instagram account. It goes on Victor's Instagram account, which his Instagram is @VictorOto. So I can, yeah, I won't try to type it in. It's too far away. But yeah. The women's retreats are really beautiful. And the purpose of them is to connect with other women that are like-minded, to learn and remember that sisterhood is sacred. And we're not in competition with each other. We're not trying to judge each other. We're all just here to help each other heal, to help each other connect, and to love.
Yeah.
And that's the main goal. So every retreat has its own sort of theme. But they're usually involved with self-love and embodiment and that type of thing. So yeah, I'm really excited. I am doing actually an ayahuasca. I'm hosting an ayahuasca retreat in Costa Rica. But that's a little more specific. It's plant medicine based. So the other retreat that I'm going to be doing here in Austin is going to be just spirituality based.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun.
Wrap up, but I need to wrap up the show.
Yes.
And thank you so much, Pattie.
Thank you.
Oh, we love her. Go and check out her Instagram at Pattie Papa. She said at Victor Odo, that's her husband. They do retreats. So yeah, what can I say, you guys? This was an awesome show. Just remember to love yourself, love who you are, love all of yourself. Like Pattie said, love your thorns. Drink healthy, good water, eat good food, think good thoughts, and be around loving people. And until next time, love your body and love your life. Thank you.